Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Neto, or Neto.eth. I'm CEO and founder of Blockful, and I'm a governance steward at ENS DAO. So I'm here today to talk about governance security beyond code and present a bit of our research around Anticapture, which is a framework to prevent governance attacks. Until now, more than $400 million were stolen by governance attacks. And by governance attacks, I mean an external actor buying enough power, enough tokens to submit a malicious proposal that goes against the core intention of the protocol. With this research, we have already prevented 2 governance attacks in 2 different DAOs, effectively saving $150 million in liquid assets to be attacked. And the main goal of the research is to effectively increase the security of DAO governance. One challenge we have when talking about this framework and deciding if we're going to share all of it publicly, it's because in the same time, since this framework can be used to defend a DAO, it can also be used to attack a DAO, weaponize it. So for this reason, we can first, we have the choice of informing good actors of how they can improve the protocol, but also we could get a new revenue stream for Lazarus, which is not the ideal. How we got here? Blockful is basically a company which is around for 3 years, totally bootstrapped, self-sustainable, and we have been exploring different things around governance, using reputation for governance models or using AI delegates. And within this journey, we came across a pretty interesting vote on ENS, which made us realize that we needed to take one step back and solve this problem. We are quite active in some DAOs. We even allocate part of our treasury into these DAOs because we believe that for having effective governance, you need to have skin on the game, truly. And about the ENS vote, back in January 2024, we realized that 1.5% of the total supply of the ENS DAO was actually being used to govern the DAO. And only 4% of the delegated supply, the total supply, was delegated. So we imagined we wondered what were the consequences of these numbers within the context of the ENS DAO. And this started a longer research, also considering governance attacks in the past. So here you can see the chart of the economical condition at the time of the vote. The first bar is liquid treasury, which is all the treasury that the ENS DAO had without considering the governance token. By that, I mean DeFi positions, ETH, stablecoin, which was $120 million. The delegated cap is the value of all the delegated tokens, so all tokens that could vote. The average quorum here is the value of all the tokens that regularly participate in the DAO. And the last bar is an unknown whale, which alone, it could have more voice on the votes than the average participation of the DAO. Quite concerning, right? Well, we can also explore other mechanisms to lower the cost of attack in a DAO. Borrowing ENS is one example, since you don't have economical exposure when borrowing the tokens. Shorting or doing a hedge on derivatives markets, and these could even make the attack profitable without any cost, actually. So depending on the liquidity the token has, the more liquidity the token has, the easier it is to make the attack in reality. You can buy more tokens quickly. Another interesting mechanism, which isn't quite explored yet, is delegation buying. Because all you need is power. You need delegation. You don't need the token itself. So maybe you could run some type of incentives to get delegation and enough power to run this attack. So this was just the first part, which was the economical condition. The second part is the governance implementation. So the governance implementation is quite important as well, because it exposes even more this problem. On ENS, there are two things that are quite concerning, which is one block voting delay. So the proposer can basically propose, and 12 seconds later, one block, he can already vote and then dump the tokens. This is concerning because of two aspects. The first is no reaction time for token holders to redelegate their tokens, to react to this information, to this new proposal. And also low economical skin on the game for the attacker. Second concerning thing is on implementation was the fact that there was no spam proposal validation. So basically the attackant could propose 1,000 proposals, and that's like not good because it will create voter fatigue. So when we have a weak governance implementation plus the bad economic scenario, and we know that can happen quite often in crypto because governance tokens are volatile, the market is volatile, so it's not easy to stumble into a situation where it is profitable to attack the DAO. And these two things together, it's like an easy attack. So for having effective security, like you not only need to be able to understand the situation, but you also need to act. So what we did was creating a security council on the ENS DAO, where the security council only has the veto power on proposals. It doesn't have any power to create new proposals. And also another important thing is the expiration of the Security Council after 2 years. So anyone can revoke this power from the Security Council, and then we don't make like the DAO captured by the Security Council somehow, or we are pushing forward to more like decentralized governance. A bit more of the Security Council. So today we still have a risky situation around a malicious actor proposing, but since the Security Council can veto the proposal when it gets in the time lock, there is no sense for an attacker to actually like run an attack. And after months of work with the ENS DAO, creating the Security Council contracts, testing it, iterating with the community, doing research about the Security Council structure, we ended up proposing a governance security bounty for the ENS DAO. It got a really good, like, unanimous approval. There is only one abstain, which is our abstain, because of the clear conflict of interest. And that's probably one of the first governance security bounty. We are not aware of any other, but it was a pretty interesting case to work on. If you are interested to read more about it, we have a public article and on Mirror, and you can also mint it. I will give it time for you guys to scan the QR code. Now, let's get into a bit on the framework. The first part is economic condition. Is it profitable to attack the DAO? One simple example is Aragon, where the treasury surpassed by a lot the market cap of the token. And the attackers, they were even backed by a hedge fund. So like, wow, like a hedge fund is like actually backing attackers for attacking DAOs. It clearly shows something. The second part is token distribution. So where's the power? How accessible is the token? One interesting, here. So one interesting example about the token distribution is the latest drama on Mango Markets, which was basically an attacker buying tokens from FTX and then passing a proposal to rebuy the tokens at a higher price. Governance implementation. So how can I expose these attack vectors even more? I will bring a simple, really simple and subtle example on the governance implementation, which is not intuitive. The fact that you can change your vote after casting the vote creates a vulnerability. Actually, not changing the vote. So let's say a governor has the implementation of vote immutability being true. So you cannot change the vote after you cast it. Well, a malicious proposal is submitted. The delegate thinks he's voting against the proposal, but actually the front end is compromised, and he votes in favor. And then the cost of attack becomes lower because the delegates are actually voting in favor of the proposal, and they cannot change the vote. So if you have this type of implementation in the governance contract, it means that the attacker, he will try to actually attack the front end and then do like a malicious proposal. So like, see, such a subtle implementation, which is the vote immutability, can create exactly the same attack vector that the Bybit multisig hack had. So it's not something theoretical, right? Like SAFE was attacked. The last one is governance activity. So how many tokens are actually used to govern? And that's important for you to understand, like, what is the cost of attack. And we also write an interesting article about the compound attack while the attack was happening. We posted that on the forum while the attack was happening because we wanted to support the community and like give it some light about the attack and the possibilities of the outcomes. So here's the article. And when we perform a governance security audit, our mindset is, how will we attack the DAO if we have unlimited financial and technical resource? Each DAO has different protocol parameters. It has a different context. So the framework addresses part of it, but there is like a really specific knowledge and context you need to acquire from each governance that makes a lot of difference to really assess the risk. Some facts after analyzing more than 30 governance attacks. First one, attackers, they are really creative, they are well capitalized, and they are smart. We should not underjudge attackers. Second thing, normalcy bias is strong. So people usually think governance attacks are only about like buying 51% of the delegated supply. But actually you have a lot of vectors and parameters you need to consider to actually assess the correct or feasible cost of attack. Another common normalcy bias that happened in our industry is FTX, which we think it was too big to fail. But maybe if I show you this photo, it makes things more suspect. Well, what is our approach to accelerating this anti-capture resistance in our industry? L2Beat is pretty interesting because L2Beat is not only a data dashboard, but is actually a framework to make L2s accountable about their roadmap on decentralization. That's pretty cool. So how can we make that to accelerate the anti-capture resistance from our industry? We are building the anti-capture dashboard, which is in the same way making DAOs accountable about their security. So we have this notion of stages and risk areas. And also we got a grant from the Uniswap Foundation that supported us to start building it and also to perform a security audit on the governance Uniswap. So that was pretty cool. And well, here we have a bit of the site, how it is today. And here, you can imagine it like a compass for the DAO, because you need to really understand what actions you need to take to improve the DAO. Like what is the current economical condition? What is the number we should aim for active delegation? So here you have all these data based on this framework. Oh, thank you. And just a quick meme. It's dangerous out there to be in the DAO market. So we have the anti-capture framework, and it should be used to really guide the DAO to improve their security. Solutions we are creating. So we are tackling the security problem from different aspects. So you can increase the delegation, increase activity by having more alerts, more like a direct channel with the delegates and token holders. We are also discussing about creating a white hat fund. Why? Because recently we discovered another DAO that was vulnerable. They have $10 million in stablecoin treasury, and the cost of attacking them within our framework and assessment is $500,000. So it's like imagine this information in the wrong hands. It's a 20x investment attack that a malicious proposer, a malicious actor could do. And then we reached out to the core team, and they were like, we don't see this risk. They're like, that's not happening. We cannot do nothing about it. And then we are like, well, if you are not doing something, then something will happen eventually, right? Like eventually this information will spread, and maybe it gets into the wrong hands. So maybe the solution is maybe we attack it and create like a security council with the delegates. At least the funds are safe and not captured by malicious actors. Of course, we also have the governor upgrade modules. That's important because you need to also upgrade the governance implementation, which is quite crucial and can help you to control the cost of attack. And also the governance audit, which is a more like profound assessment about like the context of the governance. Support us to make DAOs safer, connect us with DAO decision makers. Funds are also like hiring us for making assessment about governance tokens and understanding the risks. Because in the end, if like, for example, ENS had suffered a governance attack, probably the token would go to 0. And that's something that affects investors, users, team, and it legitimately, like, it sets our industry back and it questions the legitimacy of what we are building as an industry. You can also provide user feedback, always happy to receive feedback, and share this work to increase our awareness. And yeah, let's cooperate to like protect the industry and not make this like a repetitive scenario. So that's it.
Thank you, Alex. We're now going to open the floor for questions. All right, from the audience.
Hey, Parker.
Hey, how's it going? This is one of the coolest DAO projects I've ever seen. So after the research that you've done, what are the risk factors that are like most, I guess, like scary to you in terms of an existential threat to the DAO space? Like, what are the things that are keeping you up at night? How do you look into that?
I think I cannot tell you all of them. Oh yeah, sorry. So the question was, what is the governance? What are after the research? What are the risks I have nightmare about? And I'm afraid I cannot tell all of them, but mainly like the mixture between the economic conditions and the governance implementation. Like I think that's a core thing. But the more you dig into it, the more you understand like how to make it cheaper and cheaper to attack until a point where you get on the 20x, for example. So yeah, afraid I cannot tell all of it because of the paradox.
I know we have a couple more questions. Please, Soki.
My question is, could you just, I might have missed this, but how is the Safe Bybit attack a governance attack?
Oh, it's not a governance attack, but is the fact that the front end was compromised. So it shows that even this, like one of the safest, or what should be the safest piece of software, and the name is even safe, was actually not safe, right? And so if this was vulnerable to front end being compromised, imagine DAO front ends, where voters think they are voting against, but actually what they are signing in the transaction is in favor of the proposal. So it's just proving the point that the front end can be compromised, and it is a vector. People should be concerned, and even more concerned if the governance implementation has vote immutability.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Alex, so much for your
presentation. Of course. Bye.